Hello again, everyone. This is CM Kosemen, and it's a beautiful spring day in Istanbul. And now I'm gonna talk about a point that I'd been planning to make for the last 10 years, even more. And it's gonna be one of the few times this channel gets close to being political because I'm gonna be talking about the fallacy behind the premise of the 2006, I believe, movie Idiocracy. But before we do that, please consider supporting me on Patreon on the link I've provided below. And even if you give like $1, hey, you could buy me dinner because I live in a part of the world where $1 is worth a lot. So there, yeah. And also subscribe to my channel and like my video, anything helps. Okay guys, so the movie Idiocracy, which was, I believe, directed in the year 2006, but I might be wrong. The link below tells you more about this movie, and especially that one scene I have a particular problem with is also illustrated below in the video description. So please check it out before listening to this commentary if you're not knowledgeable about the subject. But anyways, this movie is about this political sci-fi comedy where a perfectly ordinary guy from the present wakes up in the future, and the future is a kind of democratic dystopia because, as the movie's premise goes, all the intelligent people, and to illustrate intelligent people, the movie gives an example of this very finely educated Atlantic American couple who's like, one of them is a major in econometry or languages or whatever, and they keep postponing having kids. And on the other hand, the movie shows a redneck family, or what some would call a white trash or hillbilly family, and they just keep like having kids on government money and just being irresponsible and just basically being rednecks, really. And these are the two extreme stereotypes the movie gives us when describing this dystopian future it is set in. So according to the film's logic, all the rednecks are stupid and they have a lot of kids, and all the smart people who are studying economy or political sciences or liberal arts or paleontology or physics or whatever, these are the smart people. According to the movie's logic, they don't have a lot of kids, so they die out. So what you get in the future of this film is this really dark future where people don't know how to drive cars, all medicine has been automated, and people are so stupid that they try to water their plants with Gatorade. And then this completely average Joe from the present day, he goes to the future with some plot-related device you don't really need to know about, and he's like a super intelligent god king there. And then actually the rest of the movie is really nice. I mean, it's a really good movie. Only the beginning has this very sharp and objectionable social commentary. The rest of the film is about this guy trying to survive in this bizarre future Beavis and Butthead world, and it's got some of the finest examples of world building in cinema. And for example, you got the police cars, and the police force logo is a bit like a heavy metal band's logo, and you could really, like, if that was the premise, you could really see society evolving that way. For example, also the president of the United States is like some sort of like a wrestler type of guy, and Kanye West had decided to run for president a few years back, so that part of the projection may not be too far off the truth, but it basically describes a world gone off the rails. And there's this bizarre jokes where this one road ends in a cliff and people keep driving off it and dying like lemmings. And many of the points the film raises are actually like valid points, How much do we trust in technology? Are we domesticating ourselves? Would gigantic companies prefer to have a base of customers who are less able to do things on their own? Artificial intelligence, automation, all of these points are touched upon, and it's a great film. I by no means skip it, but it's the premise I have problems with, and it's what I'm going to discuss today. So the film's makers, so whenever someone unpopular in the cities is elected president or wins an election in any parts of the developed world, and I'm talking about the UK or the US or Turkey for that matter, this movie always gets resurrected, and they say, "Oh, we're living in the world Idiocracy made, blah blah blah," and then I really question, is that what intelligence is all about? And are you sure there are no smart people who haven't received a college education? I mean, if anything, among the rednecks, so-called rednecks that this movie posits, you would find people with an extremely sharp and cunning form of intelligence, and they just don't express it through a college degree, because college degrees are really expensive, and it's even debatable if we really need them. I mean, what passes for college around the world these days is just very highly qualified training of some sort. It's extremely removed from the original model universities were founded for, which was research and the cultivation of knowledge. But the present day universities, everybody needs to go to university, even if you want to run a nail polish salon or whatever, because that kind of, it's become a status mark, and it's just morphed into a next phase of a person's education if they want to have a good life, But that's not what universities were founded for. They were founded for original research. You went to university if you were really wanted to make some sort of, I don't know, and obviously a lot of class issues were involved here too. I mean, university these days is also a class marker, because the people you meet in college, the friends you'll make, the connections you'll make really help you a lot. So it's not like it's completely dysfunctional. But the film Idiocracy makes this ugly equation, which it says educated people are smarter, or are they? Or are they just luckier? Or is the so-called redneck way of existence, really that maladaptive? You got more kids, so you could pass your genes on to more people. And this is actually an artificial divide. I mean, one of the great old composers, I think he was, god damn, I'm not really good with music. Wait a minute. Haydn or somebody like that, or Mozart, or maybe not Mozart, Beethoven or somebody. He was a musical genius, and he had 16 kids or something. So, you did have this time in the world's history where smart people reproduced a lot too, actually. But of course, back in those days, everybody reproduced a lot. It's just not the same thing. Also, it's actually another fallacy to assume that the people with most kids, they usually don't end up being the strongest group of people in that society either. And actually, this was so, everybody thinks these days, if you got a lot of kids, you're dumb or stuff. But actually, and you get these cases where people are living in poverty, and they've got more kids than people who are not living in poverty. And one of the first questions that people not living in poverty ask is, oh, they're so bad off. Why do they have so many kids? If they didn't have so many kids, they might be able to afford more. But in most parts of the world, actually, the more kids you have, the more shots at a future your family has. Because usually these people all say, okay, it's obvious that I can't start a coffee shop chain or write an app or whatever. So at least let me have a lot of kids and one of them might do it. So there's actually a underappreciated act of humanity in these cases where people have a lot of kids, even more than they could afford. Because it's their way of, it's a way of saying that next generation, buddy, not in this level, but maybe in the next generation. And that's always how generations and societies rise and fall, isn't it? There's a very popular adage. It's been ascribed to Ibn Khaldun, the Arabic philosopher. And he says, the first generation fights, the second generation farms or builds, and the third generation studies art history, and then everybody dies. So the divisions we see here and the divisions that are wrongly postulated as markers between idiots unfit to reproduce and educated people who are good for the future of humanity, in the film, in the introduction part of the film Idiocracy, they are completely wrong. They're all sides of the same coin. Don't forget, all these rednecks and Ivy Leaguers, last time I checked, they lived in the same country. And usually a few generations separate a redneck type of existence from I'm studying the linguistic roots of the Arabic language in Oxford kind of. It's just what people do. So anyways, that was my gripe about the movie. I might have gotten carried away a bit, but I had to let it off my chest. Ever since I saw this movie more than 10 years ago, I've been getting into these debates among my friends and private circles. So now at least I have my side of the argument on record. So what do you think? Do you think I'm wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. If you think I'm wrong, please express your ideas in a civil manner, and I'd love discussing this further with you. And I think, there's more hope for the future than we kind of allow ourselves in this day and age. That doesn't mean things are great, but certainly it's not as dark as some people make it out to be. And also, please, to make things brighter for me, subscribe to my channel and consider donating to me on Patreon. Even $1 will keep me happily fed. There I go. I studied all these. I actually did go to an Ivy League school. I went to Cornell University. And then a year and a half later, I missed home so much that I dropped out and continued studying in an American college in Turkey. And then here I am making podcasts on YouTube, I don't think I'm like the winning edge of Darwinian adaptation at all. I'm just an interesting flower or an appendix or something like that. And many people involved with intellectual or artistic pursuits are. I would rather have a future where more people know how to fix a chair or attach pipes or fix an air conditioner or make a light bulb or farm and actually grow a goddamn fruit, than people who are, lucky, obscure minority like me. Anyways, I don't want to get too carried away with this, but yeah, Idiocracy, great film, very questionable morals, but if you got the time, watch it, and once again, donate to me on Patreon. I love you all. Have a nice day.